What up, my MMA homies? If we were still naming UFC cards, like how they used to in the past, the title of UFC 260 should have been Redemption or Bust. Now, Ngannou was looking to avenge his humiliating loss to Stipe in the main event. But there were a bunch of other redemption stories going on as well. In what looks like an effort to save money, so that the bean counters could pay the fighters for the main event, the UFC decided to pack the main card with a bunch of fighters coming off losses. Some were looking to save their UFC career, while others were looking to avenge an embarrassing past outing. Desperation is the mother of all violence. And you can't create a better recipe for spectacular finishes than to recreate the Hunger Games in the cage. Some of those looking for redemption got their happy ending, while others were left to ponder their fate. In the main card opener, Jamie Malarkey was coming in, hoping to break a 2-fight losing streak against Worthy, who was himself looking for redemption after a 90-second KO loss in his last outing. Turns out, both would outdo themselves in this one. Bizarrely, Malarkey was being cornered by ex-opponent Brad Riddell. Apparently, Jamie is also Alex Volkanovski's training partner, again another city kickboxing opponent he has lost to. As they say, if you can't beat them, join them. But seriously folks, a lot happened in this 46-second knockout. Malarkey showed some brilliant boxing in this one. Study his probes in the first 30 seconds, and how he reads his opponent. In the first 15 seconds, he shows Worthy the standard jab-cross combo. Soon after, he shows him the jab-cross combo again. His opponent starts to counter with his left, expecting Malarkey's right hand to follow up, every time he steps in with the jab. Malarkey keeps taking outside steps, threatening to throw the right hand, to draw out the left hand counter from his opponent. His opponent is starting to get into a rhythm, but he's actually getting set up. Now, look what happens in the finishing sequence. Malarkey takes the outside step again, and draws out the left hand. However, he fakes a left hook, and the opponent guards up, like how he did the first time. Now, Malarkey quickly takes another outside step, and feints with his right hand. The opponent's left counters again on instinct. This leaves him open for the real left hook, that knocks him out. This was a clever setup, tricking the opponent into worrying about the right hand, leaving himself open to the left hook. Redemption secured for Malarkey, and for Worthy looking to do better than a 93-second knockout the last time, I guess he sort of outperformed too. Next is tribute. Thomas Almeida was coming in on a 3-fight losing streak. For those of you that remember, Almeida was a once hyped knockout artist. That himself got brutally knocked out by another previously hyped knockout artist. His opponent, Sean O'Malley, was also looking for redemption, coming in off an embarrassing loss via injury that derailed his hot streak. O'Malley has always been a flashy fighter throwing all kinds of wild combos, but this time he stayed disciplined, showing excellent countering instinct. His game plan was to stay at range and use his reach advantage. This earned him the victory, but what was noteworthy was his left-hand counter, whenever Almeida tried to rush him to close the distance. Every time Almeida tries to rush in, O'Malley would take a quick hop back, and throw his left straight at the open angle. He was landing this at will, and he would do it off both stances. This is very Conor-like, and I have made a video about it here. I'm not saying he swaggerjacked Conor, but the similarity is striking. I would need more data though, before drawing conclusions that he's just some rip-off clone. Change my mind. Moving on, Tyron Woodley was coming off a 3-fight losing streak, and needed to put on the performance of his life, to make the viewers forget his last embarrassing outing in the limelight. No. I'm not talking about this. But rather this Academy Award-winning performance.
Don't be shy now.
Now, one thing I have always wondered about, and I'm sure many of you have too, is instead of backing himself into the fence, why doesn't Tyron Woodley just come out swinging with all that power? And thank the MMA gods. We finally got the answer as to why this never happened. Vicente Luque ate all of Tyron's power shots, walking through everything, not even bothering to use footwork. Tyron also failed to get any takedowns, and was out-wrestled, getting reversed back into the fence several times. Eventually Tyron ate a heavy counter, stepping in. Very similar to how Gilbert Burns tagged him in their fight, and it was all downhill from there, and eventually Tyron got submitted. Now it's hard to fault Tyron in this performance. He landed heavy shots and got the clinch many times. However, he couldn't do much with the opportunities. Age was probably a big factor in this fight, and one wonders how Tyron might have fared if this aggressive version had showed up earlier in his career. 3 teammates from Sanford MMA have now steamrollered Woodley. Perhaps that Jim just has his number now, rather than Woodley being past his prime. Nonetheless, hopefully Woodley can help his teammate Ben Askren in his own redemption story. Finally, the biggest redemption story of the night was the fight between Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic. Stipe put on a clinic against Ngannou the first time, and everyone wanted to see what adjustments had been made by the challenger. Right off the bat, Ngannou was more patient. Not bull rushing or aggressively stepping in with jab cross combos. He was channeling his inner JDS, and using more leg kicks and going after Stipe's body, despite being traditionally a headhunter. More importantly, his takedown defense was much improved, no longer doing panicked backwards hops, but looking to defend technically. Here you can see, he had the presence of mind to get his leg on the outside, and to put Stipe's head on the inside, where he could then push down with his hands and activate his hips. He also used a chest lock to stop Stipe from arching up, and used a sprawl to break Stipe's grip around his leg. Interestingly, JDS executed a very similar defensive sequence against Stipe in their first fight, allowing him to keep the fight on the feet. Avoiding the early takedown was critical for Ngannou, and was an important psychological battle to win. The finishing sequence was also a clever improvisation by Ngannou. Normally he starts his bull rushes with a jab, followed by an overhand. This time, however, Ngannou threw his right first. As you can see, Stipe's hand is still instinctively trying to parry what he thinks is the incoming right. However, he gets knocked down by a follow-up left hand instead. Stipe's typical composure also abandoned him towards the end. After getting swarmed, he actually stops a Ngannou bull rush with a counter shot. However, instead of retreating to try recover and reset the action, he charges in again and gets caught by a signature Ngannou counter left hook. His brain was probably already frazzled by the punishment he took right before though. So it's hard to fault his fight IQ for this. That makes 3 African-born champions now in the UFC, all coming off brutal knockout wins. Oh wait, sorry, there's 4 ethnically African champs, all coming off brutal KO wins. A historical lineup indeed. Alrighty, that's all for today folks. Ngannou got 2 brutal knockdowns with his left hand this weekend, giving his right a holiday. To paraphrase this guy. Left hand hospital. Right hand cemetery. Now, we can't mention cemeteries, coffins and Ngannou without this epic meme. So you know what this means. Till next time folks.